Captain's Log, Stardate 160221. How's everybody doing this week? This guy's doing awesome. I'm doing beyond awesome. And I'll get into that later. I will get into that much later, I promise you. But first, we got to start this thing off the right way. It was a good week for me, very good week. And I got to give some love. This entry this week is actually brought to you by the folks over at Synthaholics Podcast. David Duncan, Aaron O'Brien, and Faith Hertzberg. You've heard those three names before, and as far as I'm concerned, you're going to hear them again several times. Those guys, they're up to their 50th podcast, I believe. I've been trying to catch up slowly since I've been down in sick bay, but I haven't. It just hasn't worked out. I mean, I'm trying. I really am trying. These three put on a good show, awesome show. I'm actually honored to have been asked to podcast with them. Okay, I know how I want to word it. I'm actually honored to have been asked to join them in one of their podcasts. We did The Inner Light back a few months ago. September, if I remember right. I think it was Labor Day weekend. But hit those guys up. They're awesome. Subscribe to them. They got their 1-year anniversary coming up soon. More on that. You know what? I'm thirsty. Let's have a drink. One big beverage of choice. Ooh. You did not disappoint this week, Food Slot. No, you didn't. Here we go. It's a Lucifer Belgian Ale. It's a whopping 8% alcohol by volume. 750 milliliters of this. The Enterprise won't do this time, I'm afraid. It's got to use the fingers. Here we go. Ooh, that smells good. When drinking a Belgian beer, you have to drink from a goblet. Ooh, it's a nice blonde ale. This is going to go down awesome, I think. Kapla! Ooh. That's good stuff. That is good stuff. That is very good stuff. If I graded beers, I would grade that one an A. But I don't grade beers. Let's not do too much crossing over, shall we? All right, folks. Got to start this one off with the birthdays. And you know what? These first two I actually know are Colts fans. They're going to love this here in a little bit. First birthday from the week, a lovely gal I met on a Colts fan group. Kimberly, forgive me if I pronounce this wrong. Kimberly Smee, Smeigh. Kimberly, or do you prefer Kim? How you doing? How are things going for you? I hope you had a good birthday. I hope you lived it up, celebrated well. If you don't drink, I'll drink one for you, and if you do, drink with me. Next on the list, a fellow Masonic brother. I actually grew up with this guy off and on. Before we were brothers, before we were Masonic brothers, our fathers were brothers, and our fathers hung out a lot. I'm talking about brother Jake Rigsby. Jake, my brother, what is going on? Did Jasmine spoil you for your birthday? I hope so. I hope she did. I hope you lived it up. Celebrate it well and enjoy. Drink with me, my brother. Next on the list. This is a guy I worked with in Germany. Off Deutschland. Talking about Joe Caldwell. How's it going there, Willie? Did you have a good birthday? Mm-hmm. Throwing in some old mountain man there for you. But Joe, I hope you had a good birthday. I really hope you did. I hope you were able to celebrate at home with the family. I hope you got spoiled. Hey, drink to you, my brother. All right. Ooh, I can drink. I better drink more. I better drink quicker. All right, next on the list, another lovely lady, another one that I know from my time at Off Deutschland. the lovely Sarah Nye. Sarah, what is going on? How are you doing? I hope them dogs spoiled you rotten on your birthday. You definitely deserve it. And hey, Sarah, partake with me. I know you partake. Have a little with me. Next on the list, I think I hit her up on her birthday. I don't know. I happened to run into her husband at the store getting a cake. The lovely Griselda Cradell. Now, like I said, I ran into your husband picking you up a cake from the store. I hope he was getting on your actual birthday. I really do. I'm not totally sure. I think I was in the ballpark when I hit you up on Facebook. I know Mike spoiled you. If you didn't, you let me know. I'll take care of it. But hey, my dear, happy birthday to you. Awesome seeing you out on the job site. Look forward to seeing you again. The last birthday from this week. Excuse me. Yep. This week was a quick one for birthdays. The last birthday for the week. He is a hardcore Denver Broncos fan. He is probably still living up the Super Bowl victory from 2 weeks ago. Brandon Osborne. Yo, Ozzy, what's going on, dude? How's your birthday? Hope it's a good one. I'm looking forward to next year when you can wear Colts colors on your page again. Because that famous Facebook bet that I grabbed from a mutual friend of ours. Yeah, that's going to happen. But hey, plenty of time for that. Let's drink. You know what, everybody? Told you it's going to be quick for birthdays. That was it. Excuse me. All right. Let's talk about some Identify This, shall we? This week, I had 3. The first ever fan-submitted Identify This. I'll get to that here in a minute. But folks, for Identify This, I'm willing to take fan submissions. If you got something you want me to stump the fans with, shoot me a private message. Let me know. I will hook it up. The first one, I wanted to know the episode. Now, I got a few hits of it right off the bat. I got a few hits on this one right off the bat. But I had to give it up to Ray Vacchetti, friend of mine I've known for years. He actually nailed it first. I was looking for Pen Pals from the Next Generation second season. Absolutely 100% true and correct. I actually just watched that one last week. All right. The fan submitted Identify This. I wanted to know the link. You've got Star Trek, and you've got Planet of the Apes. The link is actor Mark Leonard. Mark Leonard played both roles. However, nobody guessed it, so I'm going to give some love to Rob Mills for submitting that one. That was an awesome submission, Rob. Thank you very much. Feel free to submit anything like that to me anytime. I will definitely take care of it. I will take care of you, and I will take care of whoever gets it, if anybody gets it. And the last one. I had a feeling people were going to get this one right off the bat. I'll bet some of you did not know she was in Star Trek. That appearance actually came from the Next Generation. That is the lovely Kirsten Dunst. And our friend that you've heard on the show before, David Jackson, got it. 100% true and accurate. To you two that answered correctly, and to you that submitted, I give you the Prosper Salute. I'm going to put it to bed. It's dead, Jim. Time for a transfusion. All right. Transfused. And while we're doing that, I'm going to play another one. Because this next group of greetings, they're all going to tie in one way, shape, or form. Crank this up a little bit. Aaron Rodgers, Chris Fuller, Ryan Shoemaker, Sharol Kent, Jesse Rubens. You guys are going to love this. You guys are absolutely going to love this. See the shirt I'm wearing? This is not mine. However, this week I had the distinct honor and privilege of meeting Chuck Pagano over here at Earth Station Okinawa. To start on this end, looking at Pat McAfee, punter for the Indianapolis Colts. DeQuell Jackson, myself, Chuck Pagano, Anthony Robin, the house commander, my wife Robin, Anthony Costanzo, and Mike Adams. These guys were awesome. And I'm not going to lie, I'm going to throw in a little bonus. I'm going to feel like that walking into work tomorrow. I really am. And here's why. Because not only were these guys, I'm going to tell you what happened with me and Chuck. On his way in, on his way to the little banquet hall where everything was going to take place, he walked by me, shook my hand, saw my shirt. He took a picture with me, shaking hands, and that was before anything ever started. He asked my name, and then he showed me off to Pat McAfee. That was truly awesome. That was the best thing ever. And my friend, the first person I told about this was my friend Josh Baker over at Beer Song of the Day. And I can't tell you how envious he was of me. But I'm not calling you guys out for this to rub it in. I'm just saying that as Colts fans, you can understand everything I'm about to show you. These guys are awesome. My wife wore this hat. Bought this at the stadium right before the Tampa Bay game that we went and saw. Autographed. Pat McAfee. Mike Adams. DeQuell Jackson. Anthony Costanzo. Chuck Pagano. These guys are awesome. These guys, they even signed my game ball, which DeQuell even told me was a little deflated. Nah, I'm just kidding. He and I really didn't talk much about deflated footballs. But you got Pat, Anthony. This one's a little hard to see, so bear with me. Pat, Anthony, Mike. No, I'm sorry. Pat, Anthony. Yeah, that was right. Pat, Anthony, DeQuell, Mike, and Chuck right there. Oh, and like I said, this is not my shirt, but this one is. Autographed right here. Sorry. Autographed right here by the man, Chuck Pagano, Chuck Strong himself. I asked the man before we left, I said, Coach, will you sign my shirt? He said, yes, I will. Signed it right there. And before we left, I asked him, I said, there's one thing I got to ask before I leave. I said, do you have any injuries to report? He just chuckled, looked at me and said, oh, you heard that, didn't you? I'm like, yeah, I did. But these guys, very down to earth. And even me and Chuck, when we were talking, we talked like we'd known each other for years. I was truly humbled by that. Folks, here's how humbled I was. I was very humbled by that. And you can even ask my house commander. For 5 minutes after all that happened, the only thing I could say was, wow. I mean, no kidding. If I've got that picture, I'll show you just how in shock I was. Yeah. That was the look on my, that was the, minus that smile, that was the look on my face when everything happened. I was just in awe. I was awestruck that whole time. But I'm not saying that to brag. I'm not saying that to brag at all. I'm just happy about it. I'm very excited about how everything went down. And actually, thanks, Aaron, for giving me the heads up. I got a drink to the Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts that we know and we love, unless you're Josh Baker. Here's to the Colts. And here's, hopefully this year is their year. All right. That is it. Excuse me. For the extended greetings. Alrighty then. Okay. Let us talk a little bit about this week in Trek history. We only had 2 birthdays this week. That was it. 2 birthdays. Born on February 16th, 1957. Actor LeVar Burton was born. He was best known outside of the Star Trek franchise for playing Kunta Kinte in Roots with several other Star Trek alum. He also hosted Reading Rainbow, which he was allowed to do in conjunction with Next Generation. Rick Berman said that was his wife's favorite educational program, and he said that he would be remiss if he didn't let him do it. But LeVar Burton, Lieutenant Commander Geordi LaForge, Star Trek The Next Generation, turned 59, and actually, on this day in 1968, the lovely Jeri Ryan was born. We know her as 7 of 9, Star Trek Voyager. If I did my math right, she turns 48 today. Oh, actually, I think that's tomorrow. If not, she gets some love early. I'll give her some more love next week. I think... Yep, I'm looking right at it. It's tomorrow. I went too far ahead. But hey, you know what? She's gonna get some love. She's gonna get some love next week anyway. Why the heck not? It's my show. I can do what I want. All right, folks. You know what time it is on Prosper, don't you? If not, you are about to find out. So, here we go. Spoiler alert! The following segment of Prosper contains spoilers. And what does this contain spoilers of? The original series episode, Spectre of the Gun. The USS Enterprise is on a standard patrol when it encounters an unknown buoy approaching them. That's actually a lie. They were on a peace mission when they encounter an unknown buoy. Spock deduces the buoy intends to intercept them, making several course changes mirroring their own. Kirk orders another course change, which the buoy mirrors. As Kirk orders the ship to a full stop, the buoy communicates with them in the parent language of the crew. Spock hearing Vulcan, Uhura hearing Swahili, Chekhov Russian, and so on and so forth. Excuse me. Kirk and Spock discuss the history of their contact with the Melkotians, to which there have been no recorded encounters. Kirk contacts the buoy, informing it of their intent to establish peaceful relations, and receives no response. Kirk orders the shields raised and a course for a standard orbit plotted. As the ship enters orbit, Kirk's landing party beams down to the planet to find none of their devices functioning. Suddenly, a voice belonging to a bodiless head calls out to them. The Melkotian states that a punishment for disregarding their warning is required. Excuse me. As it was Kirk's orders, it'll be from his mind. The Melkotian refers to the landing party as a disease before sending them to a recreation of an American frontier town, complete with old-style revolvers. The party discusses their incomplete surroundings, which they feel have only what they need to punish the humans. You know, the Melkotians only put out basically a half-assed town, if you will. The wind blows a panel on a building, to which Kirk reads they're in Tombstone, Arizona, on October 26, 1881. After further examination, but before they could figure anything else out, the sheriff calls to Kirk, identifying him as Ike. After an exchange with the sheriff, Kirk puts everyone's aliases together. He is Ike Clanton. Spock and McCoy are Frank and Tom McLowry, respectively. Chekhov's Billy Claiborne and Scotty's Billy Clanton. They deduce that they're the Clanton gang. Suddenly, a man is thrown out of the saloon and gunned down by a man who appears to be Morgan Earp. As the party enters the saloon, an attractive lady throws herself on a Chekhov, while sitting them down at a table. Kirk and Earp square off, but Spock advises Kirk to sit down without flinching either of his hands. As they sit, the bartender takes their drink orders. Morgan takes the lady from Chekhov, provoking them to a passive encounter before withdrawing. The lady kisses Chekhov again before Kirk asks her to excuse herself. The company discusses their situation, fearing they've been caught in a historical reenactment of the upcoming gunfight at the OK Corral. Kirk walks over to the bartender in an attempt to convince him they aren't the Clantons, but fails. Kirk walks into the marshal's office, trying to convince Wyatt and Virgil Earp, but ends up with a 5 o'clock deadline to leave town. Let me top this off. Okay, I think I'm going to be good. 5 o'clock deadline, leave town. Back in the saloon, McCoy uses a cloth soaked in bourbon to clean the cut on Kirk's mouth. At this point, there's no negotiating with the Earps. Kirk and company make an attempt to leave town, only to be stopped by a force field just inside of Tombstone city limits. As the clock strikes 3, Kirk and company try to figure out how to get back to their beam down location, to which the ship can use to lock in and beam them up. McCoy, Scott, and Chekhov break up to gather the necessary supplies to make a gas grenade, having failed at their attempt. McCoy walks into the dentist office to take the needed supplies when he meets Doc Holliday. Holliday, taking McCoy for a joke, gives him the chemicals and his bag, restating the 5 p.m. deadline. The young lady, who we find out is named Sylvia, meets Chekhov outside the general store. The two discuss an upcoming festival, as Sylvia recommends turning the dance into a wedding ball, to which Chekhov declines. Suddenly, Morgan Earp arrives and decks Chekhov. As he tries to leave with Sylvia, Chekhov rises and challenges Earp as Wyatt and Virgil can be seen walking into the background. Morgan draws and shoots Chekhov. The gunshot draws the rest of their party to him, whose gunshot is untreatable by McCoy. In the center of town, our heroes encounter the Earp brothers, who dare Kirk to draw. Scotty pleads with Kirk to let him draw, but Kirk talks him down. In the saloon, Kirk is grieving Chekhov's death, regretting not listening to the Melkoshian warning while the others work on the gas grenades. The clock strikes 4 p.m. Spock questions Kirk about the upcoming gunfight, but is confused, asking, didn't Billy Claiborne survive the gunfight, who Chekhov was representing? Spock suggests negotiating before Kirk deduces they can change the upcoming events. Kirk runs to the sheriff, asking him to stop the gunfight, but fails. As the 5 o'clock hour approaches, Spock finishes his gas grenades. Scotty volunteers to test one out, breathing in the gas deeply, which does nothing. Spock and McCoy express their disappointment that the grenade didn't work, to which Spock states a radical alteration of their thought patterns must happen. Kirk and company refuse to move from the saloon, to which they are transported to the OK Corral. As they try to escape, they encounter another force field. Spock states that it wasn't a bullet that killed Chekhov, but merely his mind. Knowing the bullets won't harm him, he will be fine. Kirk orders Spock to mind meld with the rest of the landing party. As Spock melds with them, the Earps and Doc Holliday make their way to the corral. As the Earps arrive, they order Kirk to draw. After a moment, Kirk grabs his weapon as the Earps unload round after round at them. An unharmed Kirk walks towards Wyatt Earp, knocking him to the ground, then finally drawing his weapon. After a moment's hesitation, Kirk throws away his weapon, causing the Melkoshians to send the landing party back to the ship, where we find McCoy examining Chekhov alive and well at his post. Chekhov admits to only remembering the girl. Suddenly, the buoy begins building up to an overload and finally explodes. The Melkoshian addresses Kirk, questioning him as to why he didn't kill Wyatt Earp. After explaining they're on a peaceful mission, the Melkoshian invites the Enterprise to their planet. Spock asks Kirk about wanting to kill Wyatt Earp and how humanity managed to survive the savagery of the Old West. Kirk simply states that humanity overcame their urge for violence as the ship enters orbit. All right. That one was not the best, but it wasn't the worst either. Excuse me. Let's go behind the scenes. The story outline, titled The Last Gunfight, was dated 19 April 1968. The revised final draft was dated 14 May and filmed in late May of 1968. James Blish's adaptation has the title as The Last Gunfight. Among the differences in the adaptation, the device is delivered via darts in the episode. It is delivered via darts. In the episode, it is in the form of a nerve gas. Excuse me. The writing of this episode was influenced by a series of memos which were sent between Gene Roddenberry and NBC executives by the end of the second season, and which proposed that Chekhov be featured in the third season more than he had been up to that point. The episode originally aired just one day before the anniversary of the original gunfight at the OK Corral. Wyatt Earp, despite the sign in this episode, was not the Marshal of Tombstone. His older brother Virgil was. Wyatt and Morgan were deputy marshals. Also, in reality, the actual gunfight took place inside Fly's photography studio, a good distance from the OK Corral. These inaccuracies can be attributed to Kirk's romanticized concepts of the Old West. Kirk also appears unaware that Ike Clanton, the character that is associated with him in The Illusion, also survived the actual historical gunfight. Excuse me. Some other errors regarding the historical gunfight. Morgan Earp is referred to by Kirk as the man who kills on sight, when the real-life Morgan, by most reliable accounts, was an even-tempered lawman who used his gun only when he was forced to. The gunfight in the Melkoshian scenario is treated as a prearranged event when, actually, it was more or less a spontaneous affair. The gunfight took place near the hour of 3 o'clock rather than the 5 o'clock in this episode. Finally, although it may have seemed that Chekhov's Billy Claiborne was the youngest, he turned 21 the day before the gunfight, Billy Clanton, the role Scotty played, was 19. Star Trek characters revisited the Old West in the Next Generation episode of Fistful of Datas. This is the only episode to end with the Enterprise heading toward a planet. The British science fiction show Doctor Who had an episode called The Gunfighters, which aired between April 30th and May 21st, 1966, and contained nearly identical story and dialogue elements. Examples include Feel My Shirt, an attempt to prove to the bartender that the fabric is from the future, but the main characters are mistaken for the Clanton gang. One of the characters visits the dentist office, albeit for different reasons, and resolutely standing still as Doc Holliday, and the rest open fire at the OK Corral. This is the second time that McCoy believes he cannot be harmed by a weapon, this time due to Spock's convincing in a mind meld. The first time when he stands his ground as the Black Knight charges him in shore leave. This strategy was unsuccessful as the lance was a real weapon. It was a physically real weapon, not merely an illusion. For the third season, the velour tunics from the first 2 seasons had been replaced by polyester tunics, which are better fitting but lack the luster of the original velour. The new fabric was a heavy diamond weave nylon double knit material akin to that used in professional baseball uniforms. The switch was made because the original velour shrank every time it was dry cleaned. This was a problem because union rules required that costumes be cleaned before every use. Excuse me. Chekhov is the only member of the landing party who wears a two-holstered gun belt. Mike Manor was the designer of the Melkoshian mask. The original script specified filming the episode on location in an outdoor western town. However, due to budget restrictions, filming was confined to the regular studio stages. To avoid having to build a complete western town set, the concept of an incomplete town, put together from bits and pieces out of Kirk's mind, was developed, thus allowing the episode to be filmed within budget. There it is. Kirk's chair has a pad on its base, made from the same material that covers the rest of the floor of the bridge. Ow, I'll bet that hurt. This is the original series' only foray into surrealism, with unique set designs by Matt Jeffries. The sign that says Sheriff has an identical font to the main titles of the show. George Takei does not appear in this episode. DeForest Kelley previously played Ike Clanton in a 1955 episode of You Are There, and Morgan Earp in the 1957 film Gunfight at the OK Corral. According to an interview in The World of Star Trek, James Doohan intensely disliked the back-combed hairstyle he debuted in this episode, which was not his own choice. By the filming of the Tholian Web, this hairdo is gone for good, though viewers would see it again in The Empath and Elon of Troyes, which weren't aired until December of that year. This is one of 3 episodes that confirms Uhura's native language of Swahili, the other 2 being the Man-Trap and the Changeling. The Star Trek Writer's Bible also confirms that she is from the United States of Africa. Cool. All of the actors playing a genuine historic role were significantly older than the character was at the time of the shootout. Ron Sobel was 40 in 1968. Wyatt Earp was 33 in 1881. Charles Maxwell was 55, whereas Virgil Earp was 38. Rex Holman was 40. Morgan Earp was only 30. Bill Zuckert was 52. And Sheriff, I think his name was Behan, B-E-H-A-N, I think that's how it's pronounced, was 37. Sam Gilman was 53, whereas Doc Holliday was only 30. Several of the actors in this episode, including Charles Seal and Greg Palmer, acted extensively in westerns throughout their careers. Rex Holman, who played Morgan Earp, later played the settler Ja'an in Star Trek V: The Final Frontier, also known as Star Trek V: The Death of a Franchise. We'll get into that later. This was the first episode produced for the third season. A very subtle change in the third season was the use of new sound effects for the pushing of buttons on the bridge. Another difference this episode brings is the singing plant background noise from the cage, used for nearly every planet in television. Nearly every planet in seasons 1 and 2 is replaced here by a warbly sound used before on the planet Triskelion. This will again be used intermittently throughout Season 3, for example, in For the World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky, and the Cloudminders. I wonder why that wasn't linked. Oh well. Jerry Fielding's unique score adds atmosphere to this episode. Excuse me. When the villains are first seen in the saloon, Fielding has the piano playing stereotypical menace notes and a bizarre rendition of Buffalo Gals. Fielding's other Star Trek contribution was his score for The Trouble with Tribbles. A funny photo taken on the set of this segment and reproduced in the paperback book, a Star Trek catalog, shows Kelly looking in puzzlement at a revolver that he is holding incorrectly. This is apparently a joke, since Kelly acted in dozens of westerns before Star Trek. And finally, a short clip in the third season blooper reel shows the Melkoshian head wearing a fake mustache and horn-rimmed glasses. Writing in an issue of the fan magazine Enterprise Incidents, James Van Heiss said that the glasses belonged to co-producer Bob Justman. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for that one. Let's put it to bed. It's dead, Jim. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to take a moment to thank you all for giving me your time to watch this little show I put together, whether it be off YouTube or Facebook, or whether it be on your phone, your tablet, your computer, or a smart television. I really want to thank you for this time that you've chosen to give to me. But ladies and gentlemen, it is that time to make like the Enterprise and warp out. So everybody take care, have an awesome night or day. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, and if you do, name it after me. Don't drink and drive, because you might spill your drink. More importantly, you might kill yourself and someone else. Might kill yourself or someone else. And drinking and driving is dumber than being a Twilight fan. And what's worse than that is rooting for classless bastards like Tom. Giselle won't let me go to the Pro Bowl, and I don't want to go on any more tours to go see the troops or anything, and I'm afraid I'm not going to be good next year, and I'm probably going to be done. Brady, men slapping women, racism, animal abuse, fake friends, people who welch on bets, or anyone who is a member of the writing team of Agony Booth, or ISIS, or the Westboro Baptist Church, who tried to picket Leonard Nimoy's funeral but couldn't get it done because they couldn't find it. Things like that are highly illogical, and I will not make time for them. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, I wish you all live long and prosper.